All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Lee Grant. Today we are going to continue the project that we've been working on for about a week or so. And the project is we have these consumer resource microservice and this producer microservice. And in the last video, I was able to implement Swagger into this producer resource. And I was able to verify, you can still see it down here, that I was able to go onto the client side web browser, use Swagger, so access the Swagger UI, enter in this data right here for a post request to one of my controllers, then send it over, and I was able to, my code did what it was supposed to do. I then went into my supply database, then manually checked myself to say, is this entry actually in? And it was. So we know that that pipeline is working and things are going as we're expecting. So today's video is I am going to try to start working on this consumer resource and get the logic implemented in this one. And then after this one has been fully implemented, the logic is good, we can then start to think about like, okay, well, how do these two microservices talk to each other? We need an API gateway to be able to coordinate all of this stuff. So that's going forward into the future. But for today, let's just look at this consumer resource. So I'm going to minimize myself. I am going to exit out of this. And I'm currently in producer. I think, yeah, I didn't. I will get add. Okay. I forgot to push it to GitHub yesterday. Added Swagger functionality to producer resource microservice. Okay. All right, so now let's get started on this one. And now if you're saying like, hey, why is this red? Let me just close out of all of these. That's a good question. So, not Maven, source, main, Java, this one. So this one normally is the one that was, this is normally the line right here that was a little bit cranky, and that's why it was red, but now it just changed. So anyways, it didn't like that I had it at this location. It wanted like main Java com right there, but it compiles fine and it works. So I'm like, okay. But anyways, let's, what are we trying to do with this? Let's refresh ourselves. So consume resource, what this is going to do is this is going to go into the database. It's going to try to find that resource. So for example, a pencil or a pen, right? Like let's say that there's 10 pens in my database and 3 pencils. Consumer resource is going to say like, oh, I want to consume 2 pens. So it's going to go into the database, try to find 2 pens, and then it is going to take those pens out, so decrease the number of pens. Okay, so we obviously need REST API. I'm just gonna go into my consumer, and then I need to look at my Palm to see if I've even implemented the web server. So I should be able to get that web server. So let's just check it out. So Maven Spring Boot run. Okay, let's see if we get it. Do I see Tomcat? Here's Tomcat on 8080. Okay, so we can come here, and this one consumer resource test. Yeah, so right now it's nothing. So let's refresh it and we got it. Okay, cool. So yeah, we did implement this. Cool. It is a web server. Now, do we have the control? So I have my controller classes, okay? See, it doesn't, it's a little bit angry about this, but it works. So it's like, okay. So we have these two. Now, what do I want to do? I want to access the database again, right? So I need the same file structure that I have down here in my producer resource. I need to have the controller, model, Mongo app, repository, and service. And resources. Did I put any application properties? Okay. I also know that I need a whole bunch of dependencies. So I'm gonna come in here and look at the ones that I need. So Spring Boot, or sorry, not Spring Boot. This one is MVC. Okay. I know that I need this one. Okay. Probably this one and this one. Let me just copy and paste these over. I think this is where they stop being the same. Okay. Come on, go up. Okay. So now I go into my POM file up here. And I have the web starter. I have this MongoDB there, so I might not need, whoops. So I might not need it. Let's just paste that in, and then we'll see what we have and what we don't have. Okay. Driver core. So this one we already have, so I can delete it. Okay. Starter web, we already have that one, so we can delete it. Okay. And then this one we do not have. Okay. Oh, what about these? This one, Mongo driver sync. Sure. I don't know. But maybe we need it. Okay. So now I have a controller and this is where everything is routed, okay? And now I want to have something very similar, which is model, right? So model view controller, so model they don't say view, but they have, oh right, because I'm not actually, I'm not rendering any like HTML or anything, so I don't have a view. So I have models, I have controller, model controller, and then this Mongo app, that was the class which defined the structure of the database that I'm trying to get, right? No, this was how Mongo should connect. Model is the structure, right? Yeah, model is the structure, okay? So what is this? And I didn't add this. Backend project workspace. So backend project, that's what I called my project, right? There. And workspace. Okay, well this is a question. So essentially what I'm trying to do right now is, okay, I was able to get my producer to kind of work. I need to follow the same concepts for the producer, but I also want to do it as a method to help reinforce a lot of those things in producer. So what I mean by that is, when I was creating the producer, right, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't understand. Well, let's go back and try to understand things a little bit more. The more times that we go over something, the more deep our understanding of everything is going to be. So, all right. In my, what was this? In my models folder, there is a file called, and what was it called? Backend project dot code workspace. Okay. I don't remember ever creating this file. Was it automatic created? Okay. Okay, so what is a .code workspace file? A .code workspace file is a multi-root, okay, workspace configuration used by VS Code. Okay, so it's something that VS Code, the IDE, uses. Folder paths included in the workspace. Folder paths. Workspace specific settings like Java build configurations. Okay. You can create one by doing file save workspace as. Okay. So if I open up multiple VS Code, it may prompt you to save a workspace. Oh, it might be something that happened when I just multi-root workspaces. Custom settings. I'm feeling like I can delete it. I'm not sure what it's meaning, like how or what is a multi-root workspace And how do I know if I am working with one? I think what happened was when I was creating the other project or something, I was like dragging and dropping the Spring Boot configuration for consumer resource, and then VS Code asked me if I wanted to save things, and I said yes, probably. Okay, so you're in a multi-root workspace if you see multiple top-level folders in the Explorer pane. Nah. I think we can delete it. Do we want to try? I say yeah. Although I'm a little bit worried, like, what if we can't go back? Okay, let's copy this, then delete it, move to trash, okay, and then get out of this, okay, and then do the exact same thing here and see if my producer runs. So it does run. And I should just be able to get another. So this is the Swagger. Let me just try another one. 6 and like this, quantity is 1. Okay. So where is execute? Here we go. Execute. Okay. Status code is 200, so we're all good. Okay. So I think we're okay on that. All right, so now continuing our investigation to try to figure out what we need to do here. So I'm gonna say new folder, and I know that I need models, right? And it was plural or singular? Model, okay. Rename model, and I have controllers, and there was the other one, repository and service. Okay. Repository and service. Okay. And what else was here? Resource. Okay. Mongo app and resources. Okay. Resources. Okay. Now, application.property. Was this auto-generated, or I think I needed to create it? So again, back to how I created this producer resource was I used a lot of the Copilot, right? And I was trying to figure out like, okay, well, trying to get a working copy of things, a working version of something. And then from that, try to investigate down and say like, okay, well, what is it doing? And that was in many of my previous videos is the investigation part of, okay, well, it's working now. How is it working? Why is it working? All of that. Now, actually, this is a really good opportunity for me to do it again and to really think about like, okay, well, was this auto-generated? Did I need to create it? And really think about like, okay, well, what do I need to change and what needs to stay the same? So, let I think that this is what was created by me. And I am telling Spring Boot who the database is that we need to connect to, right? So I'm going to copy this and put it in resources. Wait, hold on. I already had one. Okay, well, I'm deleting you. So I already had one. So the file was auto-generated, but that makes a lot more sense actually. So now we want consumer resource is our application name. Okay, I like that we're doing this again because it gives me a wonderful opportunity to see this stuff once more. The database is at localhost and the port is at this one right here. Which, do we want to change that? And no, because we want to access the same database. Okay, and it's called SupplyDB. Do we want to change that? No, because it is the same database. We want the same database. So this should be good. Okay. Model, we need to, let's see, so we need to get the, service has nothing. Repository, this one was the extension that allows me to get those like find all and all of those CRUD operations which the database has. So it just uses inheritance for an interface. So I come here and see we have an interface, but it's empty. And the only thing that it really does is allows me to do inheritance of MongoDB repository. Okay. And then I need to pass in a supply. So supply is from model. So model supply. So this is what I need to create first. So let's create a supply and kind of go over this line by line to try to figure out what's going on. So actually, let me just copy this entire thing, go into Copilot and say, explain it line by line. Okay. All right, so supply class line by line. That's fine. These two, annotation ID and this document. So ID marks a field as the primary key of the Mongo. Oh, that's why we had the ID here for the. Okay, I thought that this annotation was actually to this block of code. And it was just saying like these are the fields or something like that. No, the ID is specific to this field right immediately below it, and it's informing Spring that this is the primary key. I see. Okay, let's keep going. We're on a roll, aren't we? So, document, tell Spring Data MongoDB that this class maps to a MongoDB collection. Okay. Okay, so not the import statement, but the document thing. And that's actually what I was about to copy and paste was like, well, what is this doing? So I need to investigate this one a little bit more as well, which actually is the next line. So we're in luck. Here we go. Yep. Okay, so class declaration. I'm going to turn the light on. There we go. So, class declaration, document, and then in parentheses, so we're passing in some kind of argument. Collection, which going to MongoDB, collection is kind of a key word, and it means the tables in your database. Okay? And it equals supplies. Now, I think I'm trying to remember back. I know that I had like my supplies or something like this. I think the database that we were actually using, and I wish I could do a rewind on this video because I was showing it at the very beginning of this video. But I believe we were looking in the supplies collection. So this means that this document is mapping or informing Spring that we desire to put this supply entry, right? Each of these are going to be one entry. Each of these are going to be a document, which is the MongoDB terminology. So each supply is going to be one document in the supplies collection. Okay. So, document maps this class to the MongoDB collection named supplies. Yep. Public class supply declares a public class named supply. Yep. So this declares that this variable here is going to be the primary key, marks the field as the document's ID in MongoDB. So a unique identifier for each, yep. So here's the name, here's the quantity, constructor. So public supply, a no argument constructor required by Spring and other frameworks for object creation. Okay, so we don't pass anything in and we don't do anything. So that's, oh, so we can have multiple constructors. Okay. So Java, we can have these multiple constructors where based off of which parameters we pass in, we will do different things. So if we pass in the name and quantity, it will create those for us. Okay. And then we have our getters and setters. So that's pretty normal, I think. So these are the three things that I need to do. Now let me go in to my other one, which is model here. And then I need to create a document or a file, and I can call this the exact same thing, right? Supply.java. Okay. And now I need to declare where it is. So we're going to have, I'm going to put these just in, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I was meaning just to get those three so I can remember it. Just put those three in there. Okay, so now I need package, and we're going to start at com, example, this one, consumer resource, and then model. There we go, and it's still going to be angry. So it's going to tell us we need to add this main Java. Watch this. I do correct here, and it adds the main Java. And it goes, the angry, it's satisfied. But that's not true. This is the way it should be. And I think I can verify this by actually running it. So let me save this and yeah, so I'm in consumer resource. Let me run it and make sure I don't get any crashes. Yeah, see, we're all good. So now I need to do a document, right? So document right here. And what did I pass into here? It was, I'm purposefully trying not to look right now. It was the collection, right? So collection is equal to, and then supply. This one I can look because that's just the name of the actual collection that I supply is. Okay. So collection, yeah, so we got that right. Oh, actually, did I say it right anyways? Okay, there we go. So we do this. Now I want to mark this as a ID. And now I think I need to implement both of these, right? Okay. So constructor, public, I don't know, public void, supply, okay, no argument constructor, and I do nothing. Do I need something at the end like that? I don't know. Public supply, and now let's say that I do get an ID and a name and a quantity. So string ID, string name, int quantity. Okay. This dot ID is equal to ID. This dot name is equal to name. This dot quantity is equal to quantity. Okay, so that should be this constructor. Getters and setters, sure, we can do those. What would it just be like? Public get ID, like this. Return this dot ID. It doesn't like that. Okay. Oops, not caps lock. Public get name here and return this dot name like that. Okay. Public get quantity, and then return this dot quantity. Okay, so setters, public set ID this dot ID is equal to ID. Okay, and ID is going to be a string called ID. Okay. Now, do I need a return type though? So I said public, but do I need a return type? Let me just finish these out, and then public set name, string name, and then this dot name is equal to name. Okay. Public set quantity, and quantity is an int quantity this dot quantity equals quantity. So like right now it's not as fast. Obviously I could just copy and paste from supply, but I'm trying to write it out myself so that I can think of these questions and identify like, oh wait, hold on, maybe I don't quite understand this at 100%, maybe I only understand it at a 70%. So let's now go back to here and see. Okay, so we do need the type, so I can't just omit that. So I do need to say void for the setters, and I need to give the type that I'm giving back to as the getters. And it looks like they did the exact same thing that I did. Okay, cool. And by they, I mean Copilot when I was first trying to get this up and running, get the producer resource up and running. Okay, so get ID. A getter is going to return a value. So I need to return, ID is a string, okay? Get name, name is also a string, okay? Get quantity, quantity is an int, okay? So then all of these are void. Okay. So I think this should work, I hope. So what did we just do? I'm just gonna go back over it again and make sure that I got all of that correct. So let me close this, come here. So ID collection, yeah, I mean, I didn't do this, right? Do I need that? I think I do. I should. But it's not complaining yet. Let me rerun this. Let me see if it complains. Good. I'm kind of glad that it complained because I hope it's complaining because I didn't import them. Because if it didn't complain, I would be even more confused. Okay. Cannot find symbol document. Yes! Good. Good. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so what do I need to do? So import. And now I need to say like what is document and what is ID. So is there a simple way to, I mean, obviously I can just grab it here, but how would I have known that it was from this location, right? So That's there, and now I should be able to just rerun this. And it should. There we go. Okay, cool. The world is in order. All right, so now what was this Mongo app? Let's go and start to investigate this Mongo app. Okay. And look, it stopped being so angry. All right. So, Mongo app, let's investigate what this one is doing. This was our connection, right? So, do we have any? I don't have any coffee. Right, let me think about what's happening here and what's going on. So, public class. So I'm just declaring a class, and I'm also noticing that I don't have any annotations here. Okay, so public static void main. So I have a main. Hold on. Wait, this seems strange. Okay. So I'm getting the URL for the MongoDB, and this is hard-coded, by the way. Shouldn't it be generating that URI based off of the parameters that I put into the application properties? This is just hard-coded. I mean, the numbers are the same, but I don't like that at all. Okay, so then we're doing a try. Well, I think we know what's going on here. Can you explain this line by line? Okay. Okay, so the declaration, that's fine. Here, a factory class used to create Mongo clients. Okay, factory class, this is one of those design patterns. So you have the factory constructor. Okay. Mongo client represents a connection to a MongoDB server. Okay. So, public class declares a public class named this. This class contains the logic to connect MongoDB. Okay. So, the point of all this inside of the class is to actually create the database or connect to the database. Yeah. Okay, so question number 1 is going to be for this class, normally I don't have main methods except for my single entry point that Spring Boot uses. Why does this class have a main method? Okay. Second question is, I don't see any annotations on this entire file. So how does Spring Spring use this file? Okay. 3 is this one right here. This is hard-coded. Shouldn't I use the values in my application.properties file to create this URL? For what is the difference between URL and URI? Okay. So try here. Uses try with resources to automatically close the connection when done. So I've never seen a try in this. It's normally try and then accept. Right? But now we're passing in parameters here, but then we also have other parameters, or we also have the actual logic that occurs right there. So maybe it's saying like try this, if it works, go there. So access the database. So number 5 is going to be can you give me more details on how this try statement works? Okay. So, there we go. So why does it have a main method? This class is written as a standalone utility. Okay, standalone utility. So likely for testing or demonstration. In a typical Spring Boot application, you only have one main method. Okay, yeah. In your entry point class, usually annotated with Spring Boot application. This main method is not meant for production use. It is just a quick way to test the MongoDB connection outside of the Spring context. Okay. In a real Spring Boot app, you'd inject a Mongo client bean and let Spring manage it. Yeah, that's what I want. I don't want to do this. I don't think I'm going to add this file. I'm going to keep it in my producer, right? I'm going to keep it in my producer. I don't think I'm going to add it to my consumer, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to play around with different ideas. See, is it necessary? I don't think I'm going to add this one. I'm still going to look at it, right? I want to look at it, try to understand all of those questions which I just outlined. But from what I'm reading just now, it seems like it's not necessary. So let's close that and then come here. Okay, so in a typical Spring Boot application, you only have one main. Yeah, that's what I thought. No annotations. The short answer is it doesn't, or at least not yet. Spring relies on annotations like component, service, repository, or configuration classes with configuration to detect and manage beans. Yep. Since this class has no annotations, Spring will not scan it or use it unless you explicitly annotate it somewhere. You annotate it. Okay. So I could do the component for Mongo connection up here, and then it would. Hard-coded URI. Should it be in here? Absolutely. Hard-coded values like this are not recommended in Spring Boot. Yeah. Instead, use application.properties or a YAML. So then inject. So yeah, this is in my application properties, yeah. And then from here, I can do value and then get that data from the Spring data, okay? And then put it in there, or even better, configuration pro. Okay. So URL versus URI. These terms are often interchangeable, but they're technically different. URL, uniform resource identifier, a generic identifier for a resource. Uniform resource locator, a specific type of URI that tells you how to locate the resource. Okay. So, this try. A Java feature introduced in Java 7. So this right here automatically closes the Mongo client when the block finishes. Okay, works only with classes that implement auto-closable, which Mongo client does. Prevents resource leaks, no need to manually call that close. Equivalent to, okay, so this is a little bit more like what I'm used to, is try and then catch, or try accept, or whatever, right? Like try and then finally. So we have Mongo client equals, and then I'm creating a client. Okay, if that comes true, then we use it, and then, oh no, finally is at the end. No matter what, even if there is an exception, even if there is an error, always run this finally before you even crash, right? Like, don't crash, run this first, please. Okay. So this, sorry, the finally is not a catch statement. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. Which makes me wonder, like, okay, well, how does my consumer resource actually connect to my MongoDB database? Well, probably because I told it who the database is, right? In my application properties. So let's, yeah, so Mongo app, I don't think I need that. This repository. Okay, so now I'm going to create a service, apparently service. I don't know what service is yet, but we'll figure that out. So the repository is an interface with Mongo repository. Okay, so like this, okay. And now I don't want this class, I want it as an interface. Okay. And then I want to say extends Mongo repository, and then I do those angle brackets, right? And then I pass in parameters to this the constructor, which should be my model, which is here, so supply, okay? And let me come and first tell who we are. So package is going to be com dot example dot Timothy consumer resource dot repository, okay? And it'll be angry, but then it will settle down. Okay. So now I want to import the supply, right? So I can say import, and then it's in my models, right? Com dot example dot Timothy consumer resources dot model. And do I need model or do I need this supply? Okay. See, again, this is a very good question because if I wasn't writing this out myself, I would have stumbled. And I do need the supply, and I don't need supply.java. Okay, so dot supply. Okay? It's just like that. So I also need this Mongo repository. So import Mongo repository. I don't know. Okay. Well, I'll just have to, it's from Spring Boot. Okay, fine. Okay. There. And now, I'm gonna actually go to this definition. No, okay. I'm gonna go to this definition, hopefully. I'm gonna go to this declaration. Come on. So the reason that I'm trying to do this is I was hoping to be able to go and just look at this without seeing what the second parameter was, because I remember that there was a second parameter. I actually might be able to like cover it up with my hand and then try to come here. No. Supply resource. Or repository here. So then I think if I click this, I can actually go to definition. Okay, cool. That's what I wanted. So what do I want to pass in? I have this T and I have this ID. So T is the like document itself, right? That's the supply, and then extends T, okay. What is ID? Okay, is that the only time it's used? So now we need to go into here and see what ID is. Is that the primary key? That's gonna be my guess. So let's see. String? Oh, okay. Oh, I see. So it's like the type. Okay. Well, it was a good guess, right? Okay, so now I need to come up here and come in here and say string. Okay. So now this should be good. I think we can just like, I think that's all we need. So now, do we need anything else? Service has this. So this also has a main. Oh, no. Service is, yeah, yeah, this is my actual main. Yeah, there we go. So let's run it again, okay? And do Spring Boot run. Hopefully we are able to get everything to be happy. And I'm just gonna come here. We need to do a real verification now that we're able to access the database and everything. But so far, okay, so we didn't get any major crashes and things are looking a little bit okay. So I think I'm gonna leave off the video right now. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break and then I'm planning on continuing with this project today. Next step forward is I want to actually I need to go into this consumer controller and actually interact with the database. So I need to find items by their ID and then I need to take them away, so decreasing the quantity. Um, so that's where I'm going to be going next. If that's interesting, subscribe to this channel. I'd love to have you around. And thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the day. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I'll see you soon.